Hello, my name is Daniel Garcia, and I'm going to be answering a question for the Uncommon application. Okay. The way I choose to answer the question is a bit different. It's a mix of both the questions you asked, so I hope that works out. My freshman spring semester, I partook in a class named Latino Psychology. In that class, we discovered and, looked at and researched the Latino psyche, but more specifically, the Latino psyche in the education system. All right. In terms of the struggles that are faced by Latinos in the education system, for example, bilingual education, cultural differences, etc. Okay. By the end of this class, our final project was a 25-page paper we had to conduct, in which it was through a journaling type method. Okay. So I went out and observed in a field type study different classrooms. The two classrooms I chose to observe were pretty different. One was here at Kenyon, a local elementary school that sees a great influence of volunteers from Kenyon, okay, are children of professors and of community members. Okay. The school is about 88% white. As opposed to the other school which I chose, which was my own elementary school in Oregon in a small rural town. Okay. These schools are 80% Latino and get free and reduced lunch. I thought I would see a difference, but I wasn't sure how big. When I first went to the Kenyon school, students were reading in a kindergarten classroom chapter-type books. My job as an observer, occasionally as a volunteer, was to read to them, see that they were pronouncing words correctly, but for the most part, I was pretty useless. These kids were reading chapter-type books in a kindergarten-type setting. Fast forward to my town. I went into these classrooms, which had definitely more students. Additionally, whenever we had to read, it was a struggle because the majority of these students didn't even speak English yet, thus prompting quite a difficulty in terms of just reading books. Students were lucky to read a page, and this was something that was admitted to me by the teacher. By the end of her class year, she was kind of hoping that the students would somewhat understand English. That was her hope. So we're talking about two kindergarten classrooms, both in the U.S. There isn't a huge difference in terms of rural community because they're both in rural communities, but one, students were reading chapter books in kindergarten, and the other one, students were lucky to read a page in English. So this prompted me to act. I couldn't stand by and just, having discovered this discrepancy that existed. And while I have never been particularly interested in elementary education, I have always been interested in education in general. The best way I felt my help could be used was through high school. Through that, I have now begun, and by begun I mean like 2 years ago, to give speeches, to give talks, consistently go back to my community, have emailed every principal at the high schools, letting them know that if they need any of their students' essays revised, checked, advised, to do so, in which I've done multiple times now. We just recently held a assembly of 300 students in which it was a question and answer type format. Seeing students from their own community get to college and then talk. I spoke to students who are college ready according to my community, which is a group of about 20-some students, in which I got to speak to them for about 30 minutes. But I didn't feel like I was doing enough. It just wasn't enough. And so, along with two other girls here at Kenyon, we began a program in which we helped Latinos prep for college in this community, okay, in the Mount Vernon area. Okay. So right now, we tutor anywhere from 3 to 9 students, but we're looking to expand, possibly even to 20. Okay. We're training tutors for next year who are bilingual, Latinos here at Kenyon. We're looking to expand. Next year, I will be taking over the operation entirely. This was just a situation in which I couldn't see students from our own community having this discrepancy. I mean, we're not talking about this to this. We're talking about this. And this only continues to expand as one gets older. And so in this program, we have kids that are 7th graders, 8th graders, up till juniors. and we think we can really help, and I hope so.